Kia ora, good evening. The Prime Minister has today announced that the country will be going to the polls on Saturday the 20th of September. Prime Minister John Key says he's announcing the election date well in advance as he believes it'll give New Zealanders some certainty and is in the country's best interests. The government's intention is that the House will rise on Thursday the 31st of July and Parliament will be dissolved on Thursday the 14th of August. And Labour have named Leslie Soper as their candidate to contest the seat of Invercargill. We'll profile her in the next section. A special delivery passed through Invercargill Airport over the weekend, destined for a new life at the other end of the country. A kakapo egg was transported from Little Barrier Island to Whenua Codfish Island in a bid to increase its chances of survival. It was one of 2 eggs being incubated naturally on Little Barrier, but a 5-day age gap put the younger egg at risk of sibling rivalry. A female kakapo currently incubating a dummy egg on Whenua will be selected to mother the precious cargo. A swap of the viable egg is likely to take place just before the egg's due to hatch later this week. Another egg began hatching last night on Whenua, and in addition, a chick safely hatched last week. The 3rd annual Parks Week was celebrated at Queen's Park yesterday with a variety of events for the family and visitor.
Parks Week is a celebration of the important role that parks play in contributing to the health of communities. The Invercargill City Council, along with the Department of Conservation, were 2 of the many organisations that took part in this year's Trans-Tasman Parks Week.
Parks Week is celebrating getting people out and about, using our green spaces, and it's happening all across Australia and New Zealand. We've got tours around the park, for example at the Stumpery, the Aviary, the Animal Reserve, Winter Gardens. We've got Family Quiz Trail going on, and we've got the orienteering. We've got plans out so people can go self-guided orienteering around the park as well, and we've got a free barbecue going on. So
there's a lot going on, isn't there, at Botanic Gardens when you list things like that?
Yes, there's a lot of areas at Queen's Park, so
and
we've just got
friends over your shoulder there as well.
Yeah, the alpacas are out and about today, so yeah, they don't get out very often, so we've got the go.
Parks Week's 2014 campaign message was Connect with Nature, with the intention of bringing the community together under one banner to connect and celebrate the natural world. A range of public events took place both across Australia and New Zealand with a view to spreading the word that parks are essential to healthy, happy and strong communities. Invercargill boasts parks and green areas that would be the envy of larger cities, and the jewel in that crown, Queen's Park, seemed the obvious place to focus Southern Park Week activities.
Queen's Park's a garden of national significance, so it's very special to us. It's one of our premier parks in Invercargill as well, so yeah, we'll make the most of it. It's a nice central location, it's quite accessible to a lot of people, so we try and use it when we can for events and such as this.
And the overriding message to those who don't get out to enjoy Southland's many open and green spaces as often as they would like.
Yes, getting everyone out of the house, if they can get on their bike or walk around, just to enjoy the nature and what we have to offer in Invercargill, just to enjoy it really.
Hunter Andrews, South Today News.
Invercargill Skate Park will be closed from next Monday to allow for the $750,000 redevelopment of the area into a new purpose-built facility. Invercargill City Council Community Development Manager Mary Napper says users of the skate park will be looking forward to using the new multi-purpose skate park, which could be used by riders of scooters, skateboards and BMX bikes. The existing park and the entire site will be closed during the construction period, which is expected to be completed by the end of May. Saturday was a big one for Environment Southland and the face of their children's environmental awareness program, Bruce Seagull.
Environment Southland, along with the Department of Conservation, yearly celebrate Brucey's birthday with a get-together of Brucey's Buddies at Anderson Park. Around 200 children and their parents spent the day learning the environmental lessons Bruce Seagull has advocated over his time with Environment Southland. There was, however, time amongst all the learning for a barbecue and a photo opportunity with Bruce Seagull himself. The celebrity gull spends his year visiting schools and community events and has proved so popular that there are around 1,400 4 to 14-year-olds in Brucey's Buddies Club.
Today we've got Brucey's birthday, so these are kids from Environment Southland's Brucey's Buddies Club, which is an environmental kids club for kids aged 4 to 14. And every year we get together and have a family day where all the club members can come and enjoy some environmental activities and education and a fun time together and a barbecue.
What were they up to today? What were those individual activities?
Today the activities that we've had have been based around the soil and natural resources. So we've had bug finding, kids have been out there with little magnifying glasses and bug viewers and looking for different bugs. We've had making eels out of leaves with Lloyd Estler over here. We've had Department of Conservation helping today, who have been looking at decomposition of leaves and making artwork out of the different colours of decomposing leaves. We've had some great just fun games over here from Environment Southland of tossing pine cones into tyres. So all sorts of simple, fun activities.
And with that big environmental message at the end.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. This is about appreciating our environment, and if we can get kids to enjoy being in the environment, number one, then there's the ability for them to learn and to grow on that, to look after the environment in the long term.
And let's not forget Brucey, of course. It's a big day.
Who could forget Brucey? He's the star of the show and has been for quite some years. And the kids behind me at the moment are having a barbecue now, waiting for his appearance.
I'm told he's only ever officially 7, though.
Well, we keep that a secret, so yeah, we'll go with 7 this year again. That's fine.
This week is World Salt Awareness Week, and the New Zealand Stroke Foundation, along with the National Institute for Health Innovation, are calling on fast food companies to reduce salt in their food. Recent research has shown reducing salt intake to recommended levels could prevent nearly 6% of strokes. Over 9,000 people die each year from stroke, making it the 3rd biggest killer in the country. Too much sodium chloride intake causes blood to retain water, increasing volume and making the heart work harder. This causes strain on blood vessels and raises blood pressure, which can lead to stroke. The Stroke Foundation has an interactive website, a web quiz at saltwise.co.nz to help consumers reduce the amount of salt in their diet. Stay with us. Still to come after the break, Leslie Soper is confirmed as this year's Labor candidate for the seat of Invercargill. Welcome back. The Invercargill branch of the Labor Party last night confirmed Leslie Soper as their candidate for the seat of Invercargill. The former Labour-list MP has contested all but one general election since 1993. Firstly in the pre-MMP Wallace seat and then twice in the Clutha Southland seat before contesting the Invercargill seat in 2008 and 2011. Hunter Andrews asked the candidate about key Invercargill issues she intends to focus on over the coming months.
I think for Invercargill people there are some issues around jobs, employment, around regional development, around just what the plan is for the day that possibly Rio Tinto will pull out of Tiwai. What have we got there? Now Venture Southland's done a lot of work there. We know there's all sorts of potential in industries like fisheries, like the silica industry, like our education industry, that we have a lot of potential there. Regional development wise, David Cunliffe himself has taken the regional development portfolio, and we've had many discussions about what that means for provincial seats like Invercargill. The whole issue of rising poverty and just the cost of living issues, the families who come to see me in my volunteer Labour office who are talking about not being able to make ends meet from week to week. And that's just not beneficiary families, that's low income families. That minimum wage is too low, and in our first 100 days we'll be increasing that. In the last several months I've been involved in setting up a food rescue organisation in Invercargill to supply the food banks with more food, and an emergency housing trust because we actually have very serious social issues in Invercargill. They're nationwide, we have them in Invercargill, we're a first world country, we need a government who's going to address those issues.
Are you concerned by that low poll rating and a few errors recently by David Cunliffe?
No, I'm not particularly concerned, Hunter, because I'm talking to people on the streets and in the workplaces and just generally everywhere in Invercargill. Just today I've talked to a number of people who have been talking to me about family issues, about poverty issues, about the fact that they are just sick of a national government that's not addressing those issues. I've had education people say to me, we're still struggling with the concept of the national standards and the damage that's causing. We're still really angry about this ridiculous carry on with Nova pay, not actually paying people properly. I've had people in the health system say, look, things are really, really going wrong. And I'm a former Deputy Chair of the Southland District Health Board. I've got some pretty clear ideas about what we need to do in the health system to start turning things around again. Industrial-wise, I think that we've got a very unbalanced industrial legislation against national. I want to see that 90-day legislation gone in our first 100 days. So there's a lot of big issues there to be addressed. The polls, I think one thing I always bear in mind about the polls is so many of our people no longer have landlines. They're doing phone polls that don't include a lot of our actual voters.
Is Invercargill that sort of seat that, with the changes to boundary in 2007, make it unwinnable for Labour?
No, Invercargill in 2014 is a very winnable seat for Labour. And I'm very aware of the 2007 boundary changes because I know exactly the areas of Clutha Southland that those boundary changes brought into Invercargill.
It was a number of potential votes, wasn't it?
It was probably 3,000 Clutha Southland national voters who came into Invercargill with that boundary change. And yes, it was a huge boundary change, but remember in 2008, straight after those huge boundary changes, there was a fairly relentless, sorry Hunter, media campaign that was saying get rid of the Labour government, time for a change, etc. That's not there now. The on-the-ground feeling from people is that the national government has not delivered on a whole range of issues people care about, and that Invercargill has very much become a winnable seat. Remember, Mark Peck held Invercargill for 4 terms and Eric Roy lost to Mark 3 times. There is no accident in the fact that Invercargill is a winnable Labour seat. It's, if you like, a bellwether seat. 2014 is a year where Labour has a new leader, a new campaign, a new energy, and Invercargill is very much in that pool where there are issues that mean it's a Labour seat again.
Are you going to opt for will there be a place on the list for you?
I'm going to put my name on the list, yes. And I'm relentlessly campaigning for the party vote as well as the electorate vote. I'm a 2 ticks person, I always have been.
Okay, down here let's talk about the party infrastructure. This candidate selection process and the leadership selection process last year stimulated quite a bit of interest in Labour. There were 200 involved yesterday in the selection process. Is that a good sign for you?
Yes, that's a very good sign. It's always useful to have a new energy that's brought in. And yes, the leadership campaign last year, of course, the first time that the leadership had been chosen that way in the Labour Party, that created a great new energy. I thought that was fantastic. The whole process of there being a candidate selection has certainly energised a lot of people. There's a lot of people ready to be part of the campaign. I've had people offering to do stuff. We've obviously got a campaign team up and running. The campaign to win Invercargill for Labour started yesterday.
And that's it from the news desk. Tonight on Sport, we talk Super 15 with former All Black Stu Wilson. That's up next after the weather. From us, good evening.